Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Annabelle Thomas. Annabelle Thomas is a cardiac ICU nurse at the University of Kansas Medical Center in Kansas City. She originally attended Kansas University in Lawrence, then pursued her healthcare interest at St. Luke's, where she received a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. After graduation, she resided in Dallas, where she worked at Baylor University Medical Center's Cardiothoracic Transplant ICU. She currently resides in Mission, Kansas, and is working on completing her Master of Science in Nursing with a subspecialty of adult critical care. In addition to working in the cardiac ICU, she serves as a team member of the Rapid Response and Code Blue teams. Annabelle is an active member of several professional organizations, including the American Association of Critical Care Nurses and the Zamierowski Institute for Experiential Learning. Well, good afternoon, Annabelle. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. I appreciate you jumping on, Annabelle. And what I love to do is, I talk to my guests all the time about my favorite part of the day in what I do in my career. And I do a lot of cool things in technology, but having a guest and talking to a guest, listening to their story and being able to share that with our global audience is amazing. So thanks again for jumping on. We're going to jump into these questions. Annabelle, I want to talk to you about your background. You've got a strong one in healthcare. You're a critical care nurse and now studying to become a nurse practitioner. Could you share with our audience what drives you and what has contributed to your success thus far?
Well, just a little bit of background. As you mentioned, I'm a critical care nurse. I've been doing that pretty much my whole career. I've worked here in Kansas City. I've worked in Dallas. But ultimately, what's contributed to this is, I think, the female leadership that I've been around as I've been a nurse for the last 6 years. I mean, just seeing the female leadership, my role models, I think I really go to, and how they've gotten themselves far. I kind of follow in their footsteps. So I guess starting out as a brand new nurse, I didn't have a lot of females around because I work in cardiology. There's a lot of male cardiologists, but I will always think back to the day that I rounded with the first female cardiologist, Dr. Simmons, and she just carried herself like it was no big deal. Like she's the only female cardiologist. You would have no idea. And I think she just represented herself in a way that I was like, wow, I want to be like her someday. She has so much going for her. All the potential that I have in me, I see from her. I would say like something more cliche, like Michelle Obama is a pretty good role model for me. And that's the reason why I'm so motivated. But I think what's motivated me is actually just seeing people that I work with day to day. I think it's even more so empowering to see females like in less intimidating roles, just because like, hey, it's kind of the norm. It's the new norm for you to be motivated and empowered to become like a critical care nurse practitioner or a hospital executive or a cardiologist.
Great. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's amazing that there are role models, especially in healthcare, where you can look up to somebody and learn and pick one of those people as a mentor. So I appreciate the share. And let's talk a little bit about this new normal. As you know, everybody globally has had to make major shifts to adapt to this new normal. Could you share with us your insight as a COVID and critical care nurse to keep us safe and healthy?
I think it's tricky. I think that it's still important. And I think everybody needs to remember that it's still important. If you have the opportunity to get vaccinated, then do it. That's great. Keep wearing your masks and, avoid large gatherings and doing your due diligence that you have been doing. And eventually herd immunity will kick in. But I think we're a ways away from that still. So as much as you can, try to protect yourself and protect others by doing your part. I think that hopefully with these winter months leaving, a lot of people will be more relaxed. For me, it's a little bit different because I've worked in the COVID ICUs. I do work in the COVID ICUs still. I see very depressing things every day. And so I just want everybody to stay safe until this whole pandemic is over. I also think it's very crucial that you, quote unquote, fill up your cup, which can be tough to do during these times because, you can really isolate yourself because you're trying to stay safe from COVID. You're not doing the typical social gatherings, or you're maybe not seeing your loved ones as much as you previously were. So it's important to recognize those things. And I know virtual gatherings have become just a part of our life now, which is wonderful. But don't forget to fill up your cup and make sure you're staying sane because it's still important to keep your mental health. It can become very depressing very quickly with COVID and staying inside and the winter months. So there's a fine line.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on with that. Right now, I think people are struggling being isolated. So I appreciate the share. So Annabelle, as you know, this is a technology platform. We are the largest crowdsourced technology publication on earth. And we want to know a little bit more about any tech that you might be leveraging in the hospital. If you're not in tune with the technology department, maybe there's a cool tool or app you're using. Either way, whatever you can share, that'd be great for our audience.
Oh my gosh, it's like everything I do is technology. So I have about 20 apps that I use on a daily basis just because you can't do anything without having the most up-to-date researched or evidence-based practice, because you want to have rationale for why you're doing something or prescribing something or a treatment plan. So I would say what has blown my mind is the amount of technology there is just on your smartphone. I use a lot of apps like Evernote. I'm sure people have heard of that. That's just a kind of documentation center. You keep all of your notes in one place, which has been really helpful doing nurse practitioner clinicals. The Sanford Guide to Antibiotics is got to be some of the best apps around, because the Sanford Guide is so crucial because I want to make sure I'm prescribing the correct antibiotic for this infection. And that's changing all the time. That could change tomorrow. So using that Sanford Guide is just priceless to me. The other app I use a lot is Up to Date. I know some of these sites you have to have subscriptions to, or you have to pay fees. But as a healthcare professional, I mean, it's just something you have to have research at your fingertips at all times, because you can't be lugging around a 4-pound book that you had from school. May or may not be telling you out of date information. So it's taken Google to a whole new level because you can have peer-reviewed journal articles on you at all times.
That's awesome. You and I both served in healthcare. I've been in healthcare 20 plus years, and a lot of the apps that you're talking about are pretty prevalent in the healthcare space, especially Up to Date. I'm very familiar with that app and how healthcare providers have that at their fingertips, obviously. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And Annabelle, last question. Everybody wants to know in our audience a little bit more about you. Can you share your thoughts on the importance of having more women in STEM?
Yeah, I mean, wow, I'm glad that that's a big talking point, because this is something that just needs to be acknowledged. I think it's becoming more prevalent. It's becoming a bigger topic. I don't know if it's because women are more motivated, but I think there's things like having a female vice president. I think that's going to change a lot for young girls out there. It's almost like seeing these big roles for girls, knowing that they can do it, is going to be life-changing. We see all of these jobs that are kind of advertised to little kids, like being a police officer or a firefighter to a little boy, or like being a teacher or a nurse to a little girl. It's like, how do we avoid that? I struggle with that because, I obviously went into a field where I kind of considered more of a nurturing field. And then, I don't know if that's just because of who I am and my nurturing personality, or if there's been some sort of like push for me to go towards nursing, because it is so diverse, but it's more of a female dominated career. So I always think back about, like, if I had more female leadership in my life when I was younger, would I maybe have gone a different path? Would I maybe have gone into nursing? I can't even imagine not being a nurse now. I love my job. It's definitely what I was meant to do. But it's crazy to think, like, well, maybe if I was around these female cardiologists sooner than 6 years ago, maybe I thought, oh, you know what? I can go to medical school. Or, hey, I can be a small business owner because I know plenty of small female business owners down the street. I also think it's important to maybe realize that a lot of these female leadership roles that we talk about now are kind of insane. Like, obviously, being the female vice president is huge for us, but we see a lot of things like, oh, there's this female astronaut and she became an astronaut when she was 10 years old. Well, that is not realistic for everybody. That's very intense. And I think maybe something more like, saying, like a female doctor or a female small business owner kind of helps young girls or people like me see that they can accomplish these type of things just as much as a man can.
I appreciate the share on that. I think STEM is important. Our focus on our platform, obviously, is focusing on the gender gap, of course, but also we focus on women in STEM. We're a huge technology publication featuring guests from all over the world, but we have a lot of very diverse guests from women of color on our platform, and we're excited to share that. So, Annabelle, thanks again for your share on that. And it was a pleasure having you on today. I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Bye for now.